Hello, everybody. Great to be with you. Today, I wanted to read over with you some of the selected aphorisms of Nicolás Dávila Gómez. Here you see him. Nicolás Gómez Dávila. Sorry about the pronunciation. A Colombian reactionary thinker whose aphorisms I first found on Twitter and have since come to appreciate quite a bit. If you look him up, you can search his name, or I guess this is what he was known as, Don Calacho. You'll find a collection of the English translation of his aphorisms, so you can go through them on your own as well. But I thought, why not just read some of them out together? You can comment on them if you find them insightful like I do. So I'm also testing here, streaming to Twitter. We'll see how that goes. But mainly I just wanted to share this author's thoughts with you in case you're unfamiliar with him. So let's just launch into it. And we're not going to go in order, and we're not going to do the whole thing because there are thousands. But we'll just skim and read some of them. So men change ideas less than ideas change disguise. Through the course of the centuries, the same voices are in dialogue. This one, number 3, right off the bat, brilliant insight here. So it's easy to believe that we partake of certain virtues when we share in the defects they imply. Okay, some of these you're going to have to ruminate on, let them sink in. Those who lament the narrowness of the environment in which they live long for events, neighbors, landscapes, to give them the sensibility and intelligence which nature denied them. To adapt is to sacrifice a remote good to an immediate necessity. Let's see. Let's go through here. And if something catches your eye, write it in the chat what it is and what you like about it. Love is the organ with which we perceive the unmistakable individuality of beings. Okay, that's nice. Something there of The Little Prince, if you've read that. Liberty is not an end, but a means. Whoever mistakes it for an end does not know what to do once he attains it. Yeah, there's a good, I don't remember exactly where it is among these aphorisms, but there's a nice one about freedom of speech. In the end, rendering both truth and error, how does he put it? Not irrelevant, but indistinguishable or something like that. So same sort of thing. This great Colombian reactionary thinker does not regard liberty itself as an end, but as a means. Whoever mistakes it for an end doesn't know what to do with it. I would say a commonplace view among right-wing anti-liberals. This is nice. There are 1,000 truths. Error is one. Our last hope lies in the injustice of God. For God, there are only individuals. I wonder what you think about that, because there are thinkers like, let's say Dugin, but other German idealist thinkers and so on, for whom peoples are the thoughts of God. So there's something individualistic here. For God, there are only individuals. Let's see. Yeah, he's a Catholic thinker. So every end other than God dishonors us. Politics is the science of social structures made suitable for the common life of ignorant persons. Let's see. Domestic parliaments are not forums where debates take place, but rather where popular absolutism registers its decrees. The bourgeois gives up his power in order to save his money. Then he gives up his money in order to save his skin. And finally, they hang him. This one, which I posted on my Twitter, and other people also thought it was well stated, well formulated. The bourgeoisie is any group of individuals dissatisfied with what they have and satisfied with what they are. It's quite nice. Love of the people is the aristocrat's vocation. The Democrat does not love the people except during election season, and so on. So I think there are thousands of aphorisms collected here, and you should definitely pull this up. The philosopher is not the spokesman of his age, but an angel imprisoned in time. Have you heard of this person before? I think he should be much better known. among certain circles than apparently he is. Hold on, sorry, I'm having a hard time getting things on screen that I need on screen. Let's see. Oh, this is another one. History buries without solving the problems it raises. That's a nice one. The writer arranges for syntax to return to thought, the simplicity which words take away. Yeah, he has a lot of great aphorisms about writing, incidentally, which maybe is not surprising given how good of a writer he is. The momentary beauty of the instant is the only thing in the universe which accords with the deepest desire of our souls. I think there's something to that for sure. Let's see. This I also like here. Chance will always rule history because it is not possible to organize the state in such a way that it does not matter who rules. This is an important point in political philosophy. You know, if you think about Plato's notion of the philosopher king in the Republic, it depends on the chance coincidence of philosophy and power. It depends on the chance, in other words, you can't predict it, can't force it, can't guarantee it, outcome that the person who's a philosopher by nature, or could be a philosopher, has the nature of a potential philosopher, actually becomes one and actually takes power. So those things depend on chance, not on technology, not on administration, on chance in Plato's Republic. So chance will always rule history because it's not possible to organize the state in such a way that it does not matter who rules. So that view means there's no progress in history if chance rules it. There's no necessity of a certain logic to history if chance rules it. History can't be seen as an intelligible sequence necessarily if chance rules it. So I actually could write a little book here about natural right and history if you wanted to compare the meaning of chance versus, let's say, providence ruling history. So once again, chance will always rule history because it's not possible to organize the state in such a way that it does not matter who rules. So one of the things I love about some of these aphorisms is that once you think about them, you see they are deep, much deeper than you'd think, given how short they are. Okay, what else do we have here? Evil's greatest guile is its transformation into a domestic secret god, a comforting presence on the hearth. This I like. An intelligent idea produces sensual pleasure. Yeah, people sometimes think the world of ideas, of thought, of abstraction, of intellection, of understanding, and all of that stands apart from and aside from, maybe even as opposed to, the world of the senses, of pleasure, of joy, thrill, delight, and all of that. But an intelligent idea produces sensual pleasure. And actually, there's a sort of hedonistic, pleasure-based justification on these grounds of the philosophical life. Because the philosophical life is, according to the hedonistic justification, also the most pleasant. The danger with the hedonistic justification of the philosophical life is that it seems to make pleasure the standard. Pleasure is not the standard. Pleasure is just a nice byproduct, as it were. Okay, so an intelligent idea produces sensual pleasure. That's why there can be something like an erotic thinker. I mean, a thinker who desires and develops, enjoys thinking deeply, passionately, is stimulated in all the right ways. Okay, a book does not educate someone who reads it to become educated. Pleasure is the ludicrous spark caused by the contact between desire and nostalgia. That's also brilliant right there. You could probably write a book about marketing, advertising, film, and all kinds of other things just by unpacking this idea here. Pleasure is the ludicrous spark caused by the contact between desire and nostalgia. See, it's good, right? Never have heard of this person until not too long ago, and it's great. So hi to everybody who's here. I wonder whether this is happening whether this is streaming on Twitter like it's supposed to be. If it is, that's nice. If it isn't, well, okay, that's also good to know. But let's keep reading some of these aphorisms. Sorry, I'm having a hard time here with my streaming software, getting everything lined up. Truth is the happiness of intelligence. truth is the happiness of intelligence. Okay. There's going to be a nice, when we get to it, I'll show you, there's a nice aphorism here about the effect of his aphorisms, I would say. To excuse his attacks against the world, man determined that matter is inert. You have to love it. When you find an intelligent person, however you find him, wherever you find him, you have to cherish. You have to cherish the intelligent people you find. So when I found this aphorist, I made sure to tell everybody who is on my mailing list at millermanschool.com about him. And here I am telling you about him. And very grateful to him, because when you find an intelligent person, you should cherish him or her. Write concisely so as to finish before making the reader sick. Advice that I should take into account for some of my way too long live streams. Write concisely so as to finish before making the reader sick. Our maturity must reconquer its lucidity daily. Beautiful, true. What more could you want from an aphorism? Our maturity must reconquer its lucidity daily. Thought, I like this too. Thought tends to be a response to an outrage rather than to a question. I'm meaning here, if I were to rewrite this, I'd put thought in quotation marks here, because I was talking to a student not long ago about the role of questioning in relationship to thinking in the philosophy of Martin Heidegger. And there, the question is what drives the thought. Or in other words, thinking and questioning are very intimately related. But what is called thinking, quote unquote thought these days, I would say, tends to be a response to an outrage rather than to a question. And one of the things that Heidegger can teach us is how to reconnect thinking as a response to a question, instead of having it just be a response to an outrage. Wisdom consists in resigning oneself to the only thing possible without proclaiming it the only thing necessary. Okay, let's see. One moment here. I want to pull some out to read. Oh yeah, this one I like too. What are called good manners are habits derived from respect for a superior, transformed into dealings between equals. That's true, isn't it? When I read that, I thought about it. I thought, when I try to exercise good manners, and when I teach my kids to exercise good manners, and when I see someone who exercises good manners, isn't that what it is? Habits derived from respect for a superior, transformed into dealings between equals. So what happens when you no longer have the memory of respect for superiors, or you no longer have the living fact of respect for superiors, and for sure you no longer have the habits derived from such respect, then good manners are gone. Stupidity is the angel that expels man from his momentary paradises. To think like our contemporaries is the prescription for prosperity and for stupidity. Another beauty. To educate man is to impede the free expression of his personality. See, once again, showing you how for a thinker like him, freedom is not the be-all, end-all, because it's limitations on freedom to some extent that educate you. We need people to contradict us in order to refine our ideas. I think that's quite true. Wisdom comes down to not showing God how things should be done. Here's another beauty. At millermanschool.com, which I highly recommend everybody goes to, I teach books that are very old, not just Dugin, who wrote in the last 10 years, but, 10, 11, 12 courses there on Plato, who wrote thousands of years ago, not to mention Aristotle and other authors. So you might think, well, why would you read somebody who wrote thousands of years ago? And here's as good an answer as you'll find without getting into more details. All literature is contemporary for the reader who knows how to read. In other words, when you learn how to read, those books it doesn't matter any longer that they're thousands of years old. They're as alive for you here and now as they could ever be. But of course, that means you have to learn a specific way of reading to bring them to life. So that's something. Let's see some of these other aphorisms. Again, we can't go through all of them. I just thought it'd be a nice way to spend some time together. And hopefully one or two of you consider this a discovery and read the rest of them. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so in the incoherence of a political constitution resides the only authentic guarantee of liberty. He has this thought repeated throughout the aphorisms that, there has to be, when everything is captured by law, freedom gets suffocated. So even though earlier we saw that freedom is only a means, it's not an end, and that education in a way puts a limitation on freedom, still, if you want to guarantee liberty, there has to be kind of, the law can't suffocate it. The Constitution can't suffocate it, and therefore the incoherence of the Constitution is a kind of guarantee of liberty. It's a nice thought. To depend solely on God's will is our true autonomy. Man does not create his gods in his image and likeness, but rather conceives himself in the image and likeness of the gods in which he believes. Also quite nice and worth thinking about. Okay, a little bit more, and then that'll be enough, hopefully, to whet your appetite. Let's see. So some of these, again, I was reading this earlier, so some I want to pull out that especially stood out to me, but meantime, if you see them on screen, you can have a look for yourselves. A certain intellectual courtesy makes us prefer the ambiguous word. The univocal term subjects the universe to its arbitrary rigidity. Also nice. Writing would be easy if the same phrase did not appear alternately depending on the day and the hour, mediocre and excellent. Can you imagine? Imagine being able to think so clearly and write so well that you have thousands of these aphorisms that are just pretty much perfectly crafted. That would be a skill for sure. Let's see. Those who are partially wrong irritate us. Those who are totally wrong amuse us. Another one here that I think is more true than beautiful, but still worth reading. Between intelligent adversaries, there exists a secret sympathy, since we all owe our intelligence and our virtues to the virtues and intelligence of our enemy. Incidentally, telling you that a world without enemies is going to have at least that missing from it. I would say that, there's Derrida has a book called The Politics of Friendship. And here too, an important thing. Okay, you need the enemy. There's this quote by Carl Schmitt, incidentally, as far as we're talking about short aphoristic sayings. Sorry, it's not by Schmitt, but Schmitt commented on it. And it's, let me pull it up for you. He says, okay, I'll just tell you from memory. It's not Schmitt, but Schmitt writes about it, that the enemy is our question in form. In other words, the enemy is the embodiment of our question. Anyways, I see that as similar to between intelligent adversaries, there exists a secret sympathy, since we all owe our intelligence and our virtues to the virtues and intelligence of our enemy. Okay, the enemy gives shape to our question and thereby sharpens our virtues and intelligence. All right, well, our ability to love something other than God proves our indelible mediocrity. I think you could just spend all day reading these aphorisms. You don't have to spend all day listening to me read them, but you can definitely spend all day reading them, enjoying them, thinking about them. Let's do maybe one or two more, and then that'll be it. Other ages may have been as vulgar as ours, but none had the extraordinary sounding board, the inexorable amplifier of modern industry. Let's see here. Let's see. Triviality is the price of communication. Unfortunately, but that's how it goes. Yeah, so I hope that you get a chance to read this. See, you won't find everything here to your liking. You won't agree with everything that he says. Speech was given to man not to deceive, but to deceive himself. Spiritual realities move us by their presence, sensual realities by their absence. So I'm not even sure that's true. It's nicely written, but in that case, I'm not sure that it's true. Anyway, here you go. Thousands and thousands. Look at this. You just keep going. We could be here all day. You see this? And this is just a selection of his aphorisms. So this isn't exhaustive. Let's just pick a page at random and see how it goes. Look, we're not even close to so many, and they're so good. Look at this. Journalists and politicians do not know how to distinguish between the development of an idea and the lengthening of a sentence. That's great. That's gold. Progress in the end comes down to stealing from man what ennobles him in order to sell to him at a cheap price what degrades him. Pick one of these at random. You have a calendar of aphorisms here to last you many, many years. One aphorism per day. When the philosopher renounces leadership, the journalist puts himself in charge. That's a nightmare scenario, right? Not the philosopher king, the journalist king. An atheist is respectable as long as he does not teach that the dignity of man is the basis of ethics and that love for humanity is the true religion. You'd have to think about that. Okay? An atheist is respectable so long as he does not teach, as it were, a religion of atheism. Okay? A secular ethics. I'm starting to teach Plato's Laws at millermanschool.com, and book 10 of Plato's Laws gets into that question. Okay? The atheist and to what extent he is harmful to society and must be destroyed, and to what extent he can be rendered harmless to society. But anyway, let's go again randomly. Look at this. Thousands and thousands of these great aphorisms. Let's see where we land up. One must learn to be partial without being unjust. Literature does not die because nobody writes, but when everybody writes. A sensual object is one that reveals its soul to the senses. Reactionary thought has been accused of irrationalism because it refuses to sacrifice the canons of reason to the prejudices of the day. Civilizations differ radically among themselves. From civilization to civilization, however, the few civilized men acknowledge each other with a discreet smile. That's also extremely insightful, absolutely true, and as important today as it ever was. If you know, Vladimir Putin gave a speech at the Valdai Forum a day or two ago, where he discussed the multipolar world of civilizations and how civilizations differ among themselves, and that we need to protect the difference of civilizations. But just remember this. From civilization to civilization, the few civilized men acknowledge each other with a discreet smile. Again, profound, true, and well stated. What more could you possibly want from an aphorist? The individual who lies to himself, just like the society that does not lie to itself, soon rots and dies. This is too good to stop, isn't it? We call the beauty of a language the skill with which some write it. It is not from starvation that the spirit sometimes dies, but from satiety of trivialities. The soul is not in the body, but rather the body is in the soul. But it is in the body where we feel the soul. The absolute is not in history, but rather history is in the absolute. But it is in history where we discover the absolute. Okay, I won't keep going or we'll never stop. As I hope you can see, these are just great. So, if you enjoyed any of that, let me tell you what it was. These are the aphorisms of the man called Don Colacho. Sorry, but I don't know what that means or why he was called that, but he is. English translation of selected aphorisms from Nicolás Gómez Dávila. Apologies for pronunciation. You could find this for free online. You see there's a background about who he was, brief overview of his thought, many selected aphorisms. You see here almost 3,000 of them. And what can I tell you? You should know who he is. You should read his aphorisms. You can revisit them from time to time when you want to have something pleasant or stimulate some thought. Or if you need a short sentence for something that you're writing, you want to give it the authority of this great Colombian reactionary, then now you know who he is. So that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I'm also testing streaming on Twitter, so we'll see how that worked out. Subscribe, like, do all of those things if you want videos on political philosophy, philosophy and politics, reactionary thought, mysticism, theology, whatever else we do here together. And I do have this course at philosophyintro.com. It's a free email-based introduction to philosophy, which covers some Strauss, Plato, Heidegger, also what's ethics, ontology, metaphysics, just introducing you to the terms of art, so to speak. So you can go there if you'd like, and then you'll get emails from the school, which is a nice thing. Okay, so there you go. That's it. That's what I wanted to show you today. This great aphorist. Look him up. Read his aphorisms. Cherish intelligent people when you find them. He's one, and therefore we should be grateful. Be grateful that he wrote, that someone translated him, and that we have him to read and enjoy and think about. All right, everybody. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.